Hi everyone, it's Katrina. The Grand Canyon Caves. You may have heard the stories about a lost civilization that once lived in the Grand Canyon. The legend goes that over a century ago, an explorer found a cave filled with Egyptian artifacts. The discovery proved an ancient society lived in the American Southwest prior to the arrival of Europeans. This also would have been a society completely different from the indigenous groups. The issue with the legend is that there isn't any proof of it. The Smithsonian Institution supposedly took all the artifacts out of the cave and stashed them somewhere. This would have been done to prevent the population from learning about the secret civilization. The government didn't want to change history. Conspiracy theorists even believe the cavern was used to stash the treasures of an intergalactic visitor who had been stealing artifacts from cultures around the globe. What is really in the Grand Canyon? The truth is that there are a lot of caves. Paleontologist Jim Mead says there are more caves in the Grand Canyon National Park than pretty much anywhere else in America. Hundreds and hundreds of caves and tunnels are hidden behind the red stone walls of the canyons, and many of them are unexplored. For tens of thousands of years, the caves were home to bats, mountain goats, and giant sloths. Some of them are very narrow, only big enough for rats. Others are big enough to live in. Most of what researchers have found in the Grand Canyon caves have been heaps of sloth dung and bat guano. There could surely be a cave full of mysterious artifacts hidden somewhere in the canyon. It's not impossible. There are dozens of hidden caverns and entryways into dark corridors, but if it exists, it hasn't been officially documented yet. Sennacherib's Prisms. King Sennacherib ruled the Neo-Assyrian Empire of Mesopotamia from 705 to 681 BC. During his reign as supreme leader, a series of inscriptions were created to document his military achievements and economic gains. The inscriptions were recorded on clay prisms, which archaeologists called Sennacherib's Prisms. These ancient documents were discovered in the ruins of one of the most mysterious cities on the globe, Nineveh. These giant stone prisms are massive columns covered from top to bottom in cuneiform writing. They detail the exploits of King Sennacherib, and by doing so, confirm things that are mentioned in the Bible as historical fact. Yes, most of the places in the Bible are real places in the world. That said, historians have never been able to confirm all the characters as being real historical figures. Many of the events are also seen as too fanciful by scientists to have any place in legitimate history. For that reason, any piece of archaeological evidence that can back up the Bible is always a big deal. When looking at Sennacherib's prisms, there is one particular passage of importance. It details a campaign against the ancient kingdom of Judah and its capital city, Jerusalem. The prism says how the king's forces besieged the city but didn't destroy it. They spared the city, but only because King Sennacherib demanded tribute. King Hezekiah of Judah was forced to hand over a huge tribute to the Assyrians. Or maybe it was a bribe. It was a lot of money to stop the Assyrians from destroying Jerusalem. This is in direct opposition to what it says in the Bible. According to the biblical record, God intervened on behalf of the Jerusalemites. God sent an angel who in a single night struck down almost 200,000 Assyrian warriors. King Sennacherib was forced back to Assyria with his tail between his legs, terribly shamed. That's what the Bible says, but not what the prism says. Which account do you believe? Do you believe the record carved in stone or the record written in the Bible? According to Professor Jack Finnegan, the king may have been lying. If Sennacherib had the prisms commissioned to commemorate his victories, he would hardly have admitted such a brutal defeat at Jerusalem. Then again, could an angel have slain a whole army? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I want to give a big thank you to Shaggy Martin and Debs Olson for supporting this channel. Thank you so much! Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already for more videos about mysterious discoveries. Almost extinct. According to a shocking new discovery, human beings just about bit the dust for good a million years ago. New research has shown that for roughly 100,000 years, the human population on Earth hovered around 1,300. Early human ancestors were one bad flu away from going extinct, and never evolving into modern humans. Researchers believe this brush with extinction played a pivotal role in the evolution of the three closest human species: Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, and Denisovans. Scientists from the Econ School of Medicine at Mount Sinai in New York City were the ones behind the discovery. They investigated the genomes of over 3,000 modern humans from various populations. Then they developed an analytic tool to uncover the size of the group that made up the earliest ancestors of all these people. By looking at the diversity and using their tool, they were able to see back in human history to a bottleneck. The genetic data shows that 930,000 years ago, humans lost 98.7% of their breeding population. In other words, the population of primitive humans dropped to about 1.3%, right at the edge of extinction. Chris Stringer from the Natural History Museum London said human ancestors were on the brink of complete and total devastation. Why this bottleneck happened is a huge mystery. Scientists believe it could have had something to do with a change in the human genome, an unexpected mutation that devastated the population. Researchers also believe that when humans reached such low levels, they branched into individual groups. These groups evolved as distinct populations, likely morphing into the three most evolved hominins. Again, that's us, our Neanderthal cousins, and the Denisovans. Luckily for people today, the population spiked once humans began migrating out of Africa. Planet X. In 2015, astronomers Mike Brown and Konstantin Batygin at Caltech announced the discovery of a giant planet. According to their data, there is a massive planet making a slow orbit through our outer solar system. It was dubbed Planet X, but nobody knows if it truly exists. The hypothetical planet supposedly orbits the Sun every 10 to 20,000 years. Its orbit is far more oblong than the orbits of the 8 official planets circling the Sun. Sorry that Pluto is no longer the 9th planet, but Planet X just might be. Why do astronomers think there's a secret planet that nobody has ever seen before? It's because at the distant edges of the solar system, there is something big causing a disruption. Researchers think there is something with a lot of gravitational pull influencing cosmic objects way past where Pluto is. It's a theory that has been around for centuries. The astronomers at Caltech were hardly the first ones to notice the anomaly, but they were some of the first scientists who were able to use computer models and mathematics to get a better understanding of the potential planet. Their computer models show that if Planet X exists, it's 4 times bigger than Earth and 10 times its mass. Conspiracy theorists think Planet X is home to aliens, but there isn't any proof of that. If it does turn out to be a planet, it's probably just a really big rock, and really cold, seeing how far away it is from the sun. The mystery spider. Egypt is renowned for its anthropomorphic gods. You can't go anywhere in Egypt without seeing ancient artwork depicting a crocodile god, a god in the form of an ibis, or something similar. Horus the falcon, Bastet the cat, the list goes on and on. But there aren't any spider gods in ancient Egypt. If you think about it, there are very few representations of spiders anywhere in the ancient world. That's what makes this next discovery such an astounding shock. Scientists in Egypt's Karga Oasis just found what might be the only known example of spider rock art in the Old World. The piece of artwork was discovered on a rock panel in the desert 100 miles from Luxor. Egyptologist Salima Ikram from the American University in Cairo called it very unusual. Salima and others think the artwork shows a spider, but they can't be sure. It's about 6,000 years old, making it older than the Egyptian gods. The spider was drawn next to a web, and there are also images of what seem to show other insects trapped by spider webs. The whole thing has major spider vibes. But why? Egyptians had zero interest in spiders. They didn't make hieroglyphics of them, they just didn't want anything to do with them. Whoever drew these pictures may have been part of a primitive culture in the desert, far removed from the early Egyptians. The spiders may have held religious significance to these people. Scientists even think the oases of the desert may have been crawling with spiders, leading people to carve images of them in stone. Statues of the Caral. Researchers in Peru recently discovered 3 bizarre statues from the ancient Caral civilization. The statues were hidden in a reed basket, which itself was found in the ruins of Ichama. One statue depicts a woman, another depicts a man. Both of them are naked and painted in hues of black and red. The third statue is extremely weird. It has 28 fingers for some unknown reason. It also has red dots all over its face and appears to be a depiction of a woman. Researchers think it could represent a mystical priestess, with the 28 fingers being a sign of her magical powers. While many know of the Inca Empire, few know about the Caral civilization, also known as the Norte Chico civilization. They prospered thousands of years before the Inca ever even existed. They appeared in northern Peru around 5,000 years ago. The city of Ichama, also called Caral, was one of nearly 20 megalithic cities spread throughout the Supe Valley. Nobody had any clue this place existed until German archaeologist Max Uhle started excavating in 1905. He uncovered obvious remains of a lost civilization. But it wasn't until the 1970s that scientists realized the scope of the ruins in the Supe Valley. In the past 4 decades, archaeologists have revealed the remains of one of the greatest societies South America has ever seen. Caral itself covers a huge area of up to 165 hectares. It has enormous pyramids that have crumbled into piles of dust. Dr. Ruth Shady once called Caral the mother city of the Americas. That's because it's the oldest major urban center, predating every other city in the Americas you can think of. And that includes every city built by the Aztec, the ancestral Puebloan, the Olmec, the Maya, or the Mississippian. The culture is still a massive mystery. They abandoned the city of Bichama/Caral around the year 2100 BC. Archaeologists have never been able to understand why. New discoveries like these strange statues help researchers get a better idea of who these people were. The black hole. What do you think it would feel like to be inside a black hole? According to a new theory, it might feel like exactly what you feel right this very second. Physicists from the University of Rhode Island suggest we could be inside a black hole right now. It may look, when you gaze up at the stars, as if you're staring into space. However, it could all be an optical illusion. Scientists have suggested a black hole may have swallowed the planet a long time ago, millions of years before today. But because of the intense and catastrophic gravitational pull, time inside the hole has slowed to a state of almost non-existence. The universe beyond the black hole continues at normal. The Earth, straddling the edge of the black hole, is stuck in a section of time slower than a blinking eye. This scenario is very unlikely. Physicist Gaurav Khanna says the more realistic scenario of the planet being sucked into a black hole involves all matter being stretched into spaghetti and crushed into a tiny singularity. But Khanna did say the Earth may have formed inside the belly of a black hole, born within a black hole rather than being eaten by one. This theory is called Schwarzschild cosmology. Unsurprisingly, it's literally impossible to prove or disprove. What do you think about this theory? Let me know in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe while you're at it. A new language. A group of German students have deciphered a mysterious script, revealing an entirely new ancient language. In 2022, archaeologists working in the sparse wilderness of Tajikistan found an inscription on a rock. This is a random piece of stone in the middle of dry, cold mountains where nobody lives. At least, nobody lives there now. 2,000 years ago, during the Kushan Empire, this was part of a great and mighty kingdom. The kingdom's lands stretched across Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Afghanistan. Since the 1950s, researchers have done only a small number of archaeological investigations in these places. They found a handful of inscriptions and strange rock carvings, but not much was done about it. The researchers from Germany wanted to decipher the script, and in doing so uncovered what they say was most likely the official language of the Kushan Empire. They've called it Eteo-Tocharian. Nobody knows how many people spoke it or how widely known the language was. It came into existence around 200 BC, then faded out around 700 AD. The Four-Legged Snake. Scientists have discovered the very first fossil ever of a snake with legs. The creature lived about 120 million years ago. It wasn't a very large snake. I'm not talking about a titanoboa here. It was hardly a foot long, yet it had 4 limbs like a lizard. At the end of each limb sprouted 5 thin digits. The fossil likely belongs to one of the oldest snakes that ever existed. It lived on Gondwana, the fractured remnant of the supercontinent called Pangaea. It had the same serpentine body you would expect with a modern snake, just with the added bonus of 4 creepy small arms. Or were they legs? The mysterious fossil has turned into quite a controversy. One of the biggest issues is that the fossil recently appeared in a German museum. Nobody knows where it was originally discovered. Researchers suspect it came from Brazil, likely sold illegally and then exported in the 1940s. It stayed in a private collection for decades before David Martill from the University of Portsmouth got wind of it. Now, the creepy fossil has been identified as a totally new species of animal, named Tetrapodophis amplectus. Scientists are still baffled by it, though. Was it a lizard with a snake body or a snake with lizard limbs? Is this the missing link between lizards and snakes? Or is it just an accident of nature? What do you think's going on with the 4-legged snake? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching! Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already and come back soon. Bye!